friends, and welcome to another episode of Booked, a place to explore the realms of creativity. Today's guest is Seph The Ace. Thank you so much for joining me today. So, you're best known for your poetry, and it's something that you're clearly very, very passionate about, and something that you share with other people and that you do quite a lot of. So, what was the thing that actually drew you to poetry? What grabbed you and said, "Hi, this is your thing"?
You would not believe the answer.
I can't wait.
I'm not. I'm not going to lie to you. Boredom.
Really?
I'm telling you. I swear. This I
Okay,
found
take
poetry.
take me on the journey. Go on, tell me about
All
it.
right. All right. So listen. Yeah, I found poetry
Yep.
in 2017, around
Mhm.
December, the last quarter. So I was bored out of my mind all my days, and I was seeing my friends talking about like they had this writers group thing, and then they'll be posting their status and the stories at how like they were having fun in the group, and I was home bored, and I was like, hey, oh, yo, do you think you could like had me up on this group? Let me like be part of the fun you guys are having and stuff. They're like, oh no, sorry, it's writers only. I was like, what do you mean? They're like, it's for writers only. I'm like, but I'm not a writer. Like, yeah, that's why you can't join us. I'm like, wait, what if I wanted to become a writer? They're like, what do you write? And I was like, what's available to be written? They're like, prose, novels, poetry, stuff like that. Go back, poetry. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. Like, okay, you are poetry. Come on. And so they added me to the group.
Amazing.
And for the first few weeks, I was like coasting through. I mean, nobody knew I was a writer then. I've not really written a poem, so I was coasting
Mhm.
through. I was enjoying the fun and everything, and they were like, "Oh, they had this workshop or something. Like they just like pop a random moment, and everybody suddenly has to start writing." I was like, "Shit,
Yeah.
I've been called. I've been called. I've been called." And I think I remember the day. It was December 17th. It wasn't 19, 2017.
Mhm.
Either of those two, either 17 or 19. And they were like, yeah. So everyone was writing poems that were checking it, like, okay, this is that, giving correction and stuff like hyping it when it's good, giving encouragement when it's not quite good. You understand that kind of thing. And they're like, oh yeah, Seth, you've not written. And they're like, okay. I'm coming, I'm working on it. I remember after that message I sent, I went to shower because I don't know, my head was hot all of a sudden. I went to shower and in the bathroom, something just hit me. I get like creative inspiration in the bathroom. I don't know why. I don't know how that works. I just don't know how that works. And
Okay.
I just ran out of there, took my phone, typed some of the 4 lines, and I sent it. And like, promising, promising, and like that, I had to write to stay on the group. And before I know it, they're like, my poems are making sense. It was looking good, and then 2017 rolled past 2018, 2019, 2018 going into 2019. I read Maya Angelou,
Uh-huh.
and that was the beginning of it. I read Maya Angelou, and I was
Fascinating.
like, wow, wow. So you mean to tell me people actually write this beautifully? And I was inspired. I swear to you, I was inspired. I read Mandela, give me a collection of poems, then this particular one, give me a cup of water before I die. And I was like, okay, you know what? I need to have a book out. I need to have a book. Enough with this one poem every week or one poem every day. I need to have a book out. And that was
Okay.
where like this fire was just lit inside me, and it was like, okay, if I want to have a book out, I need to have like a collective theme. My Angelo had themes; she had like collections, so I need to know what I'm
Mhm.
doing. And I just logged in. And 2019, I put out my first book, Ace's Journey, which was just like it was a personal story or collection of
Mhm.
poems that are just like waiting about my life at the time. And
Yeah.
I put on that to On the Road, which was my second book. But all this was just like still in the sense of, oh, I have written, Ace's Journal was basically like a compilation of poems, right? I had written the
Mhm.
poems and I was like, okay, let me do like what Manja Angelou did, a collection of poems. So I started facing through all the poems I'd written years before, and I was
Mhm.
trying like, okay, which one makes sense? Which one fits in this theme of identity, finding oneself through the confusion of life and the uncertainties of it all. So I started taking poems from that line and just like, okay, this one feels good. This one feels even better. This one flows with this. Okay, then I group them and like, okay, so which one do I start with? Then I started arranging in terms of themes and progression and stuff like that. And that was how my
Mhm.
first two books came to be, right? Then as I
Fascinating. Okay.
progressed, 2020, 2021, I feel I became more confident in my craft and my abilities as a poet. I was receiving a bit of recognition here and there. The
Mm-hmm.
second book on the road won the award for poetry book of the summer in Coalition Summer Poetry. I submitted for the competition, and I was surprised when it was because, like, what do you mean you people prefer this book out of all the other books I submitted? Like, I'm sorry, I'm confused. But apparently they did. And I was like, interesting, interesting. Okay, so if you like this, then you will like what I'll do next. All right, that made me lock in. And 2020 came rolling. Uh, Another community gave me Poet of the Year. I was like, excuse me, people are feeding my ego up, you know. And they're like, you deserve it. I'm like, okay, okay. So you mean I'm no longer shit, I'm now the shit. I'm like, I hear that, I hear that. And then it says, I think 2020, I started to like tour with love, you know the feeling like it comes to everyone once upon a time. You feel like
Mm-hmm.
you've been writing maybe you might have been writing like real life things like being society conscious, being you be, like writing real things, and then all of a sudden you feel butterfly in your stomachs from God knows where, and you find yourself writing
Yeah.
about yearning and longing, and you're like what's going on? And so I had that book, right? I was writing love
Uh-huh.
poems out of the blue, and people. And I think I had a following then. People were like
Mm-hmm.
they anticipated my poems, right? Whenever I
Mm-hmm.
send
That's
I
cool.
send a poem to the group, right? Like once they see my name, like they already like it was like already hyping it up before you even read the thing. You understand? It was at that
Mm.
level then. And then when I started
Wow.
putting on this love poems, they're like, Seth, is there someone in the picture? Is there a woman that you're feeling? And I was like, all this thing is just, I don't know. I just like imagine what it would feel like to be in love. And then an idea struck me, like, if I'm not in love and I'm writing these things and people are fucking with it heavy, what would not happen if I
Yeah.
like put myself in a situation where okay, I'm experiencing these things and I'm writing about them. So
Mm.
I thought to not just write a compilation of poems as I usually do, and instead, excuse me, instead
Yeah.
I had an idea. I had um I had a plot to execute. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be a fictional love story. And the title of the book was
Mm.
When Seth Met Steph. And I used Steph because a lot of people have asked me who's Steph, who is this, and I used Steph because that was the only name that rhymed with Seth. So I had to tell you a lot of explain after the
Yeah, that
book
makes
drop,
sense.
but eventually, yeah. So it was like, okay, let's not do a compilation of poems because I think then, like I said, it was a writing group and there were other genres and calibers of writers, and it was always like, oh,
Mm.
even to this day, I feel like people still sort of like undermine or underrate poetry in the sense that like, it's just poems though, like
Yeah.
it's not like a novel, it's not like anybody could write poetry, please, and I'm like, no. No, and also do not even try to undermine poetry because then I think that period there was this like conversation going around that poetry can't tell a story, is like zigzag, is just feel good poems and stuff. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna write a book and it is going to
Uh-huh.
tell a fictional love story of two characters who
Mm-hmm.
meet, fall in love, and experience the beauty of it, and even inevitably, like, because sometimes life is not fair, and you don't always get. You might get what you want, but you might not get to keep it for as long as you want. And it so
Yeah.
happens that
Good point.
the person you fall in love with might either falling out of love with you, or you guys
Mm-hmm.
grow distance. This thing happens. It's life. And so
Mm-hmm.
the theme of the book was find love, enjoy it, and get over it. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I read the book, and in 2021, or when did it
Mm-hmm.
release? No, I think it dropped in 2020. Jesus Christ, I cannot remember the year I released the book exactly. Wow,
That's
I swear
okay.
I'm not old.
People could Google it if they want to.
I swear I'm not old. So, anyways, that one came out and it was a hoot. Like people enjoyed it, glory to God. But I still feel like I don't really have that big an audience, so not really
Hmm.
a lot of people got to know about it. But One Step My Step was, it was a fun book, right? I enjoyed writing
Mhm.
it. I had multiple muses, but let's just pretend it was just Stephanie. So
Mhm.
that went by, and yeah, after my step was conversational minds when things got real. You know, we've
Mm.
left we've left romance aside, and now we're facing real life, real shit. I needed therapy, and poetry, as always, has always been my therapy. So
Mm.
poetry healed me from a really dark time. Not
Mhm.
necessarily dark. It's a period where I was confused, right? I was depressed to an
Yeah.
extent, and I had no other outlet but poetry. So I did what I did best. I wrote, and I sort of
Mm.
like journaled my experience and
Mhm.
found salvation through poetry. And I know there are many others there like me, feeling the same.
Mhm.
And not a lot of people have the gift or the privilege that I did
Mhm.
to have been able to navigate my way through it. So conversational mind is sort of like a guide. He's a friend. He's a friend you did not know you needed, right? So
Mhm.
it's like I've been there. I've been at the end, and I've also found a friend that brought me through it and led me away from the edge. And that's what conversational minds basically is. It's just like a conversation we have with yourself that sort of
Mhm.
reminds you that though you may feel like hell is here, you're not there. So forget the woes and the despair. Together we can make it out of here. So it's just like it's just that friend, that guiding voice that sort of shows you that yeah, I agree with you. It feels
Mhm.
like shit. You feel like shit and rightfully so. But trust me,
Yeah.
you can you can feel like shit and still end up becoming the shit. I know that's generic, but it's just the truth. And and that was it. I don't know.
I
We
think
got
that's
from talking about what brought me to poetry, talking
it
about other
happens.
stuff.
You got excited, and I love that. I love that you're able to really sort of go into depth with what your sort of point is, because that, I suppose that's the thing with poetry, is that it can take short form, it can take long form, it can be complicated, it can be simplistic, but the
Yeah,
thing is that if you're getting a point, getting across the point that you want to make, and really touching people's sort of hearts with what you're producing. So as you said, having a collection of poetry that explores a difficult time in your life that people can take and think about and go, okay, well, it's not just me, it's somebody else.
yeah,
um
relating,
and
relatability.
you're not the first writer that I've spoken to, even this week, that uses writing as a form of therapy, and it's something that is a very common theme, especially in these episodes of Booked, because I think it's an underestimated tool for people that don't write. And people can journal, or they can write short stories or novels, or self-help guides, or even autobiographical things, which you've already said you've got a combination of autobiographical poetry, or you've got, okay,
Mhm.
let's tackle a subject that people find difficult. Maybe it didn't happen to me, but I know it happens to other people, so let's play with it, and let's see how we can evoke emotion in other people. So I think it's cool. I love that your origin story is essentially a case of FOMO, where you're like, "Hang on, these people are having fun, and I want to get in
Yeah,
that." That
hey.
was I did not expect that. It was very funny. um.
That's what it is. You know, sometimes people be like, "Oh no, like they fell in love with art from when they were young and this." I'm like, "That's awesome. I wish it was mine too, but no, I was just bored." And thank God for boredom. Thank God for because imagine my life without poetry now. Oh,
Uh huh. Well, it seems like
man,
it's a huge part of your identity now.
it is. It is.
Mm.
It really is. Like in everything I do. Like I said, I'm a data analyst, yeah, and the angle I take to approach work is I'm
Mhm.
bridging the gap between data and words.
Mhm.
Because as a data analyst, right, regardless of all the analysis you do and all the insights you gain, it means nothing if you're unable to
Mhm.
communicate that to your stakeholders. And that's why I
Mm.
excel at communicating, sharing insights, experiences, and making you understand what you did not actually analyze yourself, right? I did the
Mm.
analysis, I experienced it, and I'm bringing my findings to you in a way that it can compel you to make actionable decisions. Like I'm basically giving you what you want without you going through the
Mhm.
stress of getting the insights yourself. And because I'm
Mm.
good with words, I'm good with communication, I can express myself, I can talk, basically.
Mm.
It helps me to communicate effectively with my stakeholders. So poetry, man, is the bedrock of my life. I'm never gonna lie, and I'm
That's
grateful.
awesome.
I'm grateful I found it when I did.
Mm. I love that. I love that very much. I think it's fantastic when, as well. Yeah, I mean, you've been able to take your uh sort of day to day work life and see the poetry within that, within the numbers. And that's very cool. It just goes to show
Yeah.
how deep rooted writing is for you, to be able to
Yes,
see
and
it in
also I
something
feel
that
like
I didn't even make a connection to. Sorry, what were you
right.
gonna say?
Sorry, it's something you said that just reminded me of a thing I like to emphasize on, in the sense that
Yeah, go ahead.
I tell people poetry is everywhere, right? It's in the
Mm.
little moments, your coffee you make in the morning, the beauty of it, how it like snaps you, it gives you the buzz and stuff like that. If
Mm-hmm.
if we take a little bit more time to romanticize the mundane things in our lives, we realize that everything has a certain beauty to it, and that beauty is what poets try to communicate most times, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's it's just the way we do it, communicating the simplest things
Mm-hmm.
with so elegantly you feel it's otherworldly. But I swear to you, it's just the regular mundane things of life, and everything in life is actually ordinary until you attach
Mm-hmm.
value or sentiment to it. So everything in life is poetry, but you
Mm.
just need to write it.
I suppose not everybody has the vision or the potentially the desire to be creative to find that. But then I
Yeah,
guess it's not impossible for everybody. Like, I'm gonna rephrase that because it doesn't make a lot of sense. There are people that are naturally creative, and there are people that I'm not a scientist, by the way. This is just my opinion. Just
yeah,
just pause there. But and there are some people that think more in a sort of binary thinking where, maybe they're like, okay, you do this and then you get this result, and then they don't really think much past it because that's how they exist, that's how they live their life, how they sort of look at the world. But I think to be able to see the music and the beauty and the color and things, and to try and take, even if it's a sad subject, to take some semblance of joy and beauty out of it, doesn't always
yeah.
come naturally to people. So I think it's, I don't know. I think it's, I don't know. I don't really know where I was going with that, other
No,
than that I
I get
think
what
it's
you're saying. I get what
fantastic
you're saying.
when
Some people
people have
just
that
experience
natural
it.
ability.
Yeah, I think that's where the gifts come,
Um,
or talent.
mm,
But
and that
everything
is a
comes.
gift.
Yeah, I thank
Oh,
God for
sorry,
that.
we're just talking over each other.
No, 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 no. It's calm.
But yeah, I think it's an incredible gift that some people have and some people don't, and if people don't, then they can if they change their mindset. But it's up to everybody what their
Yeah,
choice is.
or they could just
Um,
appreciate it. Appreciate those who do.
Sorry, you cut out. What did you say?
I said, or they could just appreciate those who do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And what's cool is that the people that find it natural, or it's naturally occurring within them and their personality and the way they think, is that the ability to, coming full circle, create, for example, a collection of poetry that can, somebody who doesn't necessarily naturally have that storytelling ability can pick that up, read it, and go, huh, this other
Real.
person feels the same as me, and I wasn't able to express that, but they could, and this is me,
Yeah.
which is incredibly important. So I think it's awesome. And whoever says that poetry isn't a good form of expression, or that it doesn't storytell or whatever, is wrong. I'm sorry to tell you, if you're listening and you believe that, that's incorrect. You just haven't found the right poet. Or maybe you just don't like poetry, and that's fine. But to give it a blanket statement of like it doesn't work or it's not good or whatever is lame. And let people have their thing. Let people have their creativity. Let people have their expression. It's not for you if it's not for you. Move
Thank
on.
you.
Do something else. That's my little speech. I
Yeah.
do that every so often. I'm like, hey, listen, don't be a dick.
Right?
um,
Like, good if you enjoy
Honestly,
it, but don't bullshit it because you don't. Because what you're not
yes,
enjoying, you're basically missing out on it. But that's fine. That's you. But that doesn't mean you should like
yeah,
bring it down for anyone else.
100%. Like I am not. I don't love romance stuff. Doesn't mean it's not good.
Mhm.
It just means I don't want to read it. That's
Yeah,
fine.
you just don't
There's
fancy it.
millions of other people that like it. Enjoy. I love that for you. Please enjoy it. I would love for you to enjoy it, please. um. So we previously before the proper recording, you were talking about a poet who sort of created a music playlist to go along with a collection of poetry.
Oh yeah.
So I'd love to talk a bit more about your. You said that you've got a book coming out this year, and you said you're also working on spoken word poetry. Could you tell the listeners a bit more about that?
All right. So I have a book coming out hopefully this summer, and it's titled
Mm-hmm.
"Letters to Your Hearts." All right. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a kind of book you read that it immerses you in it, like experiencing love and relationships from a first person point of view, and then you
Okay.
also get to witness intimate letters from the author to certain partners or certain muses he's had in his life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I don't know. Are you familiar with the works of Franz Kafka?
I'm not.
Okay, so like I said, I draw inspiration from a lot of notable authors and poets and stuff because, like,
Mm-hmm.
you consume and it influences you too. My first books, like I mentioned before, my Angelou was a integral part in giving me the drive
Mm-hmm.
to want to actually put books out. And for this era I'm entering into, Franz Kafka letters are one of the ones that I read and was like, I enjoy this. You know, and
Yeah.
it reminded me like, oh, I have something in like this in the locker, but I've been sitting on it and been like, maybe this is too intimate to share. And it
Mm-hmm.
just gave me that drive to like, okay, let me put this out there. And
Cool.
I've been I've been doing like little testing and stuff, and those are like my beta readers. They've loved it. They're like, wow, we have been
Mm-hmm.
keeping this. I'm like, okay, okay, I didn't know you guys would fuck with this much, but okay. And so yeah, and so let's see your heart is like the intimate letters, right? And
mm-hmm.
not just to lovers or partners the authors had before, but also to you reading. There are dedicated letters for
Mm-hmm.
you that sort of like feels like, oh, you're being seen, or maybe like you and I have lived a past life together. Because how do I know the things you experience in this much to be able to tell it back to you in detail, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's basically what letters to your heart emphasizes. It's
Amazing.
yeah, and to back that up, there there's a spoken word EP um working
Mm-hmm.
on. It's still it's still like rough in the edges, like really really rough in the edge. You're trying to find the right sound, the right
Mm.
vibe, because
Gotcha.
yeah, I have people who inspire me a lot. I have people like Sophia Fakor, like I adore her so much. Like she is one of the
Oh,
people that make me feel like there is still so much I can do with poetry, right?
that's
You know,
amazing.
I like when I can see someone in the same field as me prospering, like doing so well. I'm like, okay,
Mm.
there are levels to this game. There are levels I need to attain. There are levels I need to, know, reach. And she inspires me like that.
Wow.
I want to not to emulate her, but to emulate her success in a way, yes, because she is quite
Mm-hmm.
successful and she's getting the bag too. So I would like some of that. but, but to also be courageous like her, to do my own thing, find my
mm.
own voice in a sea where people are doing similar things, right? I don't just want to
Mm.
be another guy talking on a beat. I don't just want to be a wannabe trying to sing because no, that's not my thing. I just want to communicate effectively in a way that resonates with your being. I want you to listen to my voice on a beat. I want you to listen to my voice on a track and the feel the depth of it. I want to
Mm.
transcend you from the page more than you do when you read. I want to immerse you wholly in the poem. And that's why I'm doing this EP. So it goes from just reading poetry. I want you to experience every word, every line, every sentence, the intent behind each letter. I want you to feel it within your being so intimately that it's a shared experience, almost like a secret in public.
That's
But yeah,
cool. Very cool. Very cool. The way you just described that really reminded me of the way that don't know if you've heard of Kamasi Washington. The way his music makes me feel. I saw him live a couple of years ago, I think.
yeah,
And it was the wildest experience. There's a lot of like sort of jazz based music for me personally that, especially when you listen to it live and you're there, it just fills your entire body with emotion. It's the craziest thing.
I'm telling
So it kind of sounds like that's the kind of result you want to get, is that people listen to it and then they just kind of like sink into
you.
wherever
Yeah,
they're sitting and just forget everything around them while they sort of experience this thing that you've created. So I think that's a really awesome goal, and I'm certain you're going to achieve it because you're clearly a very passionate person.
thank
Um, just off the back of that, uh, is it hard for you, or has it ever been hard for you to put your heart and soul out there for people to have a look at, because it's quite intimate and you're going, here are my feelings, please look at it, stranger.
you.
um how does that go for you?
I tell you honestly, it is not always easy, and it's probably one of the
Mm,
reasons why I have sat on this project the longest. Because
for sure.
I've had like the crux of it, or like the bulk of it, ready since a year or two
Okay.
ago. But
Hmm.
I just, like I said, I just like, it felt too. There's sometimes when you write something, you have this collection, it's good, but then it is intimate and personal in a way that you wonder
Hmm.
how it will be received, right? It's good. The
Yeah,
quality
for
of it
sure.
is not the issue. The quality of it is not the issue, but is the
Hmm.
reception of it. Like, is it the right time? Is it the right audience? Like, so many questions, and it's sometimes I just don't want to, like, I'm like, oh my god, I'm ever gonna do this. And it's not always easy sharing a part of yourself, because
Mm,
there are some poems where you would not be able to separate the poet from the poem, and the
mm,
poet is as integral to the poem as the poem itself. So
for
the
sure.
two the two need to go hand in hand. And if the poem is ready to be out there, but the poet is not, there is a disconnect. And
Mm,
that's one thing I had to get over. I had to, like, okay, I had to wait, because sometimes you just have, like a mother hen sitting, or a mother dog sitting on her eggs. You have to wait for it to hatch and let the right time come. And I feel like it's this year. I feel like it's this year.
mm,
So it's something I have had to, like,
nice.
prepare myself for, to make sure. And also, as as a poet and
Mm,
an indie author, you have to do your best to make sure that you're creating the right environment for your work to flourish. Because
for sure.
sometimes um it's not as easy as we want it to be. It's not just, oh yeah, I have this book ready, take it. You need to
Yeah.
sometimes get in mind of those you want to resonate with. You need to let
Mm,
them know, okay, this is what I have for you, and this is why you should anticipate it. And if that works
mm,
well, then you have, like, watered the soil, and you've planted the seeds, and now all you can just do is wait for your flower to blossom, germinate, and grow.
mm,
And what I'm doing now, even right now on this podcast, is planting the seeds in your mind and hoping that as we water this together, your anticipation for the book would grow, and come summer, under the sun,
mm.
to blossom.
You're such a poet.
Thank you.
That's awesome. I love that so much. And I love the way that you look at things, because you seem to be quite a positive person. And you're like, I've just got to put in the work. I've just got to keep doing it and keep trying and keep getting better and improving all the time. Again, prior to us recording, you were talking about the sort of the self-publishing world and being your own marketing agency, basically. What's your strategy for getting people to read your poetry? Because I because I'm not in that space, I don't know how difficult it is. I imagine quite, because not everybody likes poetry, but a lot more people probably like reading, I don't know, thriller novels, for example. So yeah, how do you find your audience?
I'm not gonna lie to you, it has been difficult, right?
Mm,
So what I do most of the time is try to show up, right? Um,
hmm.
I've not got the largest audience yet. I
Yeah,
want to, I just don't have it.
yet,
So what I do is that okay, you never know when it might click for you, right?
for sure.
So
Hmm.
what I try to do is to put my best feet forward at all times, have my
Hmm.
work accessible, have poems out there. Um, from last year, like towards the course of last year, I had a friend who kind of like motivated me to put myself out there more. So I started doing instead of just like waiting for a book to drop or something like that, I started sharing more of my poetry. Started doing things on TikTok. I started like doing poetry videos. I used to shy away
Hmm.
from recording myself and you know putting poetry out there, but
Hmm.
I got motivated, and then I started doing it, and I went from being a page boy that keeps most of his work in his notes and Google Docs
Hmm.
to being someone who was going for open mics. And I went from open mics to doing poetry
Wow.
videos to doing poetry performances, and somehow I found myself on one of the biggest stage in West Africa for poetry, doing a poem I love, and I just
Wow.
like that. And then I got billed to do a poem at a friend's wedding, and I did that. I put a video online, and the reception has been impressive. Like I had people I didn't even know reach out to me and be like, "Oh my god, I really love the poem you did. I saw this wedding. I saw the video on Instagram. Came to me on Snapchat. Came to me on TikTok, and I was like people were finding me. I mean,
Wow.
albeit in small numbers, but it's the fact that someone I do not know from anywhere is reaching out
Hmm.
to me and telling me like, I enjoyed a poem you did, and that for me, bro, that felt like money in the bag because I was like, wow. And recently, I've been getting emails from people I don't know, and they'll be like,
Hmm.
uh, "Thank you. I'm glad I discovered you this year." And I went
Hmm.
back to check my social media profiles and was like, what have I put out that made someone that could have been a reason for someone to discover me? Because I'm like, I don't quite, I don't quite get it, but I am grateful for it, right? I'm grateful for it,
That's
and
so cool.
so have I found my audience entirely? Not yet, but
Mm.
part of them are finding their way to me, and I'm trying to create more so they have more
Hmm.
things to enjoy. And when people find me, they see records and they see
Mm.
things to keep them, that okay, this guy might be the shit, he's not just saying it, you know, he's good. So that's it, because it's just like you said, just hoping or copium or whatever. But I know it's gonna happen for me. It's just a matter of when.
You just got to go with the correct attitude. And I'm not, again, this is never a blanket statement for everybody. So if
Yeah.
anybody gets offended by that, I'm sorry. But sometimes it's a case of putting that right energy out there. And I don't mean in a cosmic way, but I mean more of a like, if you go, hey, I really love this thing I've done and I'm passionate about it and I care about it and here it is consistently, I'm showing up every day for myself, this is the thing that I love the most, and this is what I want to share with you. People will pick that up. People will go, oh, damn, if you're all that passionate about it, let me see what that's about. And then the
Yeah.
people that want to stay will stay, and the people that don't want to stay will go, that's not for me, goodbye. Or they'll leave a horrible comment and leave. But
Yeah.
whatever they do, I just think if you just consistently keep showing up all the time and you keep your promises and you do what you're going to say. I mean, I'm terrible for promising too much and not being able to deliver it. That's kind of my mo. But I keep showing up, and the response has been positive because I've been positive. And when people say, "Hey, I don't like what you're doing," I go, "I'm sorry, this isn't for you. Then that's fine. If I can do
Yeah.
anything to help with that, let me know. If I can't, move on, buddy. Because this, I can't. I'm not going to change who I am as a person. I'm not going to change the thing I'm passionate about." And it seems that you're doing a similar thing where you're just consistently showing up for yourself and going, this is me, this is my identity, this is what I want to give out to the world. Let me make it so that people can actually find it. Let me make it accessible. I love that you're able to just go here, here's all my stuff. Take a look. Why not? Have a go. So yeah, I mean, it seems like a good strategy, and it's better to grow slowly with a committed audience of people or a committed community of people than to be a flash in the pan and never be spoken about again. So it
Yeah,
seems like a good strategy for you. So I know that you have taught poetry before.
yeah.
I don't know a lot about it. I don't know what you've done. So I'd love to hear more about how you've helped poets to develop.
It's a thing I did like a few years back, Aces Academy,
Mm-hmm.
and it was where I gathered a couple people that reached out to me for mentorship, and I brought them all. Like,
Oh.
okay, you want to be mentored? You want to be mentored? You want to be mentored? Okay, you know what? All of you come here, and I gathered them in this group. And I'm like, okay, this is how it's gonna be. We're gonna go through the paces together. I'm gonna first introduce you to the art of poetry. Like, what is poetry? And for me, whenever I try, like, the beginning of any sort of like mentorship or teaching or anything regarding poetry, if you want to write and you want me to like guide you in your journey, the
Mm-hmm.
first thing I say is forget about everything else, right? Think of poetry first as a means of self-expression, and that's the core thing because at the beginning of everything, you're writing poetry for yourself. It's later you think, okay, I want to write, okay, what this person might feel, what this person might be going through. But at the beginning, poetry is a means of self expression at its core. It is you
Mm-hmm.
expressing your feelings, your observations, your experiences. And then people then relate, people that have experienced, felt, or would like to feel those things, then relate with you. So it's about are you able to convey the things you see, the things you feel, and the things you experience into writing. It is not always easy because, like I said, everything is mundane until you attach like sentimentality or value or a little bit of elegance because that is what separates poetry from any other form of writing. The way it is written, the manner at which the message is conveyed, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, the sun is out, the sun is shining. But the feeling the warmth on your skin and telling how it feels to be bathed under the light of the sun. That's just like, oh, the sun is out or it's hot or stuff like that. Is the way you communicate those things. That's the difference.
Mm.
How you express the mundane things and make it feel extraordinary. That's the beauty of poetry. And so that's why I stuck with. And
Hmm.
with Aces Academy, we had like I broke it down for them. Like I had different sections. So, but that was like the beginning, and then it was I think the introduction class was about breaking down you first, understanding who you are, why you are the
Hmm.
person you are, and how
Yeah.
you're who you are. And then when you understand all of that, it brings you to the final stage that this is you. And understanding yourself means you can then go on to tell or create from within. And that's an important part. And okay, another thing I try to mention is be
Mm-hmm.
intentional with your poetry. Sometimes, yes, off the whim, you get the inspiration, you just write when you don't mean it. But if you want to be, if you want to grow, if you want to become a better poet, it is important for you to be intentional about your poetry. Everyone can write poetry, but not everyone can be a poet.
Mm.
Talk less of being,
Absolutely.
yeah, talk less of being an ace poet. You understand? So it takes a level of dedication and um, level of dedication and commitment to see growth in your craft. You have to be intentional
Mm-hmm.
about it, and it applies to it applies to everything you do, right? If you're not intentional about what you do, you would not see the results you want to see, and then you wonder why someone who has less skill than you is getting more
Mm-hmm.
opportunities and is going further because the person, though might seem has less skill, is putting in the work, is doing what needs to
For
be
sure.
done, and
Mm-hmm.
if you're doing what needs to be done, you would improve because you're putting in the work. You know you have the skill, you have the talent for it, but you write once in every blue moon. And someone who does not necessarily have the skill for it, but is writing every day, the first poem is the next poem is going to be better than the last. So it just works like
Mm-hmm.
that. The more you write, the better you get at it. I
For
didn't
sure.
necessarily, I didn't start poetry as fine. I might have always had a way with words, but I didn't start poetry until I was made to write poetry because that
Uh-huh.
was my only way of staying on the group. And you understand? Yes. from being required to write to stay where I wanted to stay, I realized that, oh,
Hmm.
I really like doing this. And I could have been a regular person on the group writing a poem once there's a prompt. Oh, today's prompt is a man with a blindfold on his face or something like that. And like,
Yeah.
I see, but I can't see. And you just like write something. I could have been doing that, but I would have not grown as a poet. But instead,
Mm.
even when there are no prompts, I see to myself. And I remember then when I was starting out, I had this thing. I kept journal by my bedside. So whenever I go to bed at night, before I sleep, I just take up my pen and I try to write. I have written in the dark
Hmm.
before. Like I don't know, the light was out, and I woke up. I woke up. I'm saying this is a real life story. I woke up dead in the night, and the light was out. The switch was far from my bed, but I couldn't stand up because of like shit. I need to write. I need to write. And I don't know what possessed me. It would have been easier to go get light, right? But no, around the bed for my book, took it off because I know where I keep them. Took the book, opened it to a random page. I hoped it was like I was just hoping that okay, it's a blank page, hopefully. And I took a pen
Uh-huh.
and I closed my eyes because I couldn't see shit. And I just started writing everything I was thinking. I was just writing it down. And I closed the book and I went back to sleep. I woke up the next day and bro, that was the ugliest handwriting I've ever seen in my life. But I made sense of it eventually, and then I wrote it out and wrote a poem with it, and it was nice. It was good. People enjoyed it, but it was like the impulse to write. I never shunned the impulse to write. Never. My
Mm.
favorite poem that I performed at the biggest stages last year, I wrote the
Hmm.
poem while I was doing the dishes. I was doing the dishes, and I just like as I was washing the plate, scrubbing. I was like, "Oh, far be for me to hide the truth where you're concerned." I was like, word, 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 word. And they're like, that makes sense. Far be it from me to hide the truth where you're concerned. And they're like, oh, because I'm entranced by you, I find it difficult to lie on demand. And I'm like, okay, well,
Hmm.
we're going somewhere. And I just kept watching play. So like, I said it again in my head, far be it from me to hide the truth where you're concerned. Because I'm entranced by you, I find it difficult to lie on my. And so I must confess. And I'm like, hey, nah, this confession, I need to get a pen. Where I raised, I raised my hand immediately and I went to find a pen and I cooked. Oh my God, I cooked. It was such a beautiful pen. Oh my days. Oh, and it's like I am not even trying to hype it all, but it was a bit. Mm.
How funny. That
Apple.
does often happen. It
Yeah,
does often happen
yeah.
when you're just doing something that isn't creative and you're just doing a task that you do every day and you're like, oh, inspiration's hit. I've got to stop everything and
Right.
do this thing
Lock in
because if I don't,
instantly.
I'll lose it.
Do you get? You need to lock in instantly. So, like around me, although now I don't know, I wouldn't say maybe I don't know if I've become lazy or stuff. I do most of my writing on notes on my phone
Yeah. Hmm.
because I tell you, when I used to write on pen and paper, there's a different feeling writing on pen and paper, and I highly recommend it. Like it just gives,
Mm.
I don't have a feather and a quill. I don't have a quill and ink, but writing on pen and paper sort of gives me that feeling of like a masterpiece about to be
Yeah.
written.
That's exactly. I completely agree with you. It's different.
Because I feel like I am not writing on. I'm not typing where I can just backspace if I make a mistake. I know that every word that's coming out of me now is with intentionality. It has to be word. It has to be good. And then I'm writing.
Mm.
Imagine if you have a good handwriting. Like your words did not make sense. Looking at it is poetry, please.
Oh, it's so funny. I mean, that's I can so relate, and it's. I find that because I write, well, not very often, not often enough anyway. I'll write like the feeling of a story, or like I've got again. I use my notes app to come up with ideas, and I go back to them. And I just think, oh, that's
Yeah.
terrible. That's terrible. Or I'll sometimes I'll come up with. I don't know if this happens to you. I'll think, oh, it's a genius idea for a story. People are gonna love that. And then I go back to it weeks later and I go, that is just a film I watched. That already exists. I just quite liked it and forgot that I'd watched it.
Oh, you remind me of something my little brother did one time. Um, because I write, yeah, and I'm always like quite
Uh,
vocal about it. He sort of tried to emulate me. I'm like, oh, he wants to write. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Go ahead, please, feel free,
mhm.
write something, write whatever. And he wrote a story. like it was going chapters and chapters and chapters. Like, wait, hold on, I'm curious. I was like, no, 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 let me finish. In my own, like, I'm to paraphrase, or like he was like, hold up, let me cook. I'm like, okay, okay.
Uh-huh.
And then it did, and it brought it to me, and I read, and I was like, wow. So this little boy left his family to find a dragon, this and that, and it was feeling like One Piece and How to Train Your Dragon merged together with a little piece of Dora the Explorer, and I was like,
Dora the Explorer.
and I was like, this is sounding all too familiar. Like, and like this is sounding all too familiar. And then I realized that, bro, this boy basically mixed the animes and cartoon he had been watching together and basically did his own fan fiction. It was like, well, E for effort, E for effort, E for effort. We build on that. We build on that. Fan fiction is a thing in this world, so no problem.
Oh yeah, 100%. And there's, you've got to write what you love, and
Absolutely.
sometimes that's inspired by the things that you love so much that it's just the things you love again, and
Yeah.
which is great. I love
I
that.
saw something on X today.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I can remember the name of the anime exactly, because I've
yeah,
not I've not seen a particular anime, but someone was reminiscing of like, oh, so anime was released today, so years ago, and someone quoted it and was like, this anime is the reason I'm now a best-selling author, and I was like, hold up, what do you mean? And I went under the thread, and I found out that the way the anime was, it started like the first half of the anime, it was great, and then the second half, it fell off so bad that this
yeah.
particular lady felt infuriated to the extent that she was like, you know what, fuck this. I'm going to write a better ending to this anime. So she went
Huh.
ahead, she went ahead and she sort of like, okay, two characters that were in the anime, she created the same two characters, like similar background and stuff, and then she wrote her own version of it. And obviously, she mentioned the anime in her acknowledgements and everything, referencing the old
Hmm.
inspiration and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
people that actually fuck with the anime, fuck with that book heavy because like your ending makes sense. It makes more sense than what we actually were.
Mm.
And people were buying her books, and she became a best-selling author because of that. And I was like, wow, okay,
Giving the people what they want.
thank you. And she made that money. She made that money off of it, like, okay, idea. Keep to bookmark. We'll revisit that one later.
Yeah, let's come back to this. I like it. Amazing. So we're coming to the end of our time now. I meant for this recording. We're gonna live longer than this. But um before I close off the episode, is there anything that you wanted to particularly mention, or anything that you want to tell our listeners about that we haven't talked about yet?
Wow. Wow. I feel like at this point I should have so much to say, but I feel like I've mentioned like I've touched on everything. And what I just want to say
Hmm.
is like again, emphasis on letters to your hearts. Letters to your
Hmm.
heart is is a project very, very dear to me. And I know it will
Hmm.
be dear to you once you get a chance to read it. And I'm really, really hoping you give this book a chance come summer. Yeah. I will try my best to be.
Absolutely.
I will try my best to be all up in your faces. I will try my best to be everywhere, but an indie author can only do so much. So I don't have a big marketing house or a publishing company funding me, but we'll try our best.
But I tell you what, we're going to have it featured on Indiosyncrasy. So I will put the link to your author feature in the description of this episode. I'll also put all the links to your social media. And when the time comes that you want to start shouting about it, you just let me know and we'll shout about it together, because it's important to me that with this platform that we're creating a space that makes it easy for people to reach their readers, reach their audience, so it doesn't cost them a bunch of money. That's the goal. Is that we're creating this platform so that indie authors such as yourself can be creative and worry about the creative part and stop worrying about the, oh, let's spend all my time on social media trying to plug my thing. So yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much for today. I
Thank
really
you so
appreciate your
much. I
patience. I know
really
we've had some
enjoyed
technical
myself.
difficulties. I'm so glad. It's really important to me that each guest has a good time. So I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and I had a fantastic time. I've laughed a lot. It's been great getting to know you and about your creativity. You're clearly a very passionate person. You're very passionate about poetry and what you do. So I'm really pleased that you were a guest on this show. Um, Before I let you leave, where can our lovely listeners find you and your work?
On Instagram, Just my name was Seph The Ace, and on my website, Ace's Poetry, where I do poetry reviews and stuff. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much. And on
Amazing.
TikTok too, it's like it's a smaller platform there, like smaller account, but yeah, I have some things on there too. So just my name
Brilliant.
everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I'll put the links for those in the description of the episode as well. But thank you again so much for being here, and I hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Thank you, thank you. I really had a nice time.
You too. I'll see you later.
All right, bye, Saffron.